Let's talk about DMER. DMER is DMER, Dysphoric Milk Ejection Reflex. I've posted about it on TikTok a few times, and it's so surprising to me how many moms comment and are like, I experienced this. Oh my word, I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know other moms experienced this. Or like, I'm so glad to see somebody else talking about it. And I'm like, look at the comments. There's so many moms that do. What it is like this insane, intense, like closest feeling to hell that you can have on earth without actually being in hell. And I say that with all sincerity and like solemnness. It is literally the worst feeling ever. For me, it happens like I notice about 45 to 60 seconds before I have a letdown, and the emotion or the feeling that happens, I've never been able to identify a specific emotion that it is. It kind of is like all of the bad feelings in the world wrapped up into one. I feel like doubt, regret, anxiety, anger, depression, like every bad negative feeling you could ever have happens at the same time. And also you feel it, like I feel mine like right here, like it's just heavy, like choking me almost. So this sounds really intense, it sounds really scary. It is. The good thing is it doesn't last forever. So for me, what happens is like I said, about a minute before I have a letdown, that feeling starts, it builds until I have the letdown, and then literally just disappears, like boom, gone. It's like the feeling never happened. I'm back to myself. It's crazy. That's the good thing, is that like, yes, it's terrible, but it only lasts like a minute or two. I actually experienced this with my first. I didn't know what it was until I like noticed a pattern of it and was like, this is crazy. I mentioned it to somebody and they're like, oh, your cousin has had that, like you should get in touch with her. And I did, and she was like, oh yeah, like that's a thing, this is what it's called. And so just having that knowledge and being armed with it helped me so much. So like just knowing this is what I'm going through, this is what it is scientifically, and you're not crazy. Like I didn't have postpartum depression with her, and it made me wonder if I did, because I was like, is this PPD if I'm feeling so negatively and so strongly? DMER is not postpartum depression. I'm glad that I was able to kind of like separate those two. For my second baby, experienced it again, and the second time was so much worse, so much more intense. Happened every single time I fed him, not just occasionally. But like I said, being armed with the knowledge of what it was helped me to get through it. So I was absolutely determined with my first baby to breastfeed, like no matter what. Like I was like, if I use all of my resources and I educate myself as much as possible and I'm able to troubleshoot, like I want to try as hard as I can. Unless the baby is like absolutely refusing to eat, I want to try to solve all the problems with myself that I can and kind of work this puzzle out. If I was determined like to push through and see if it would kind of go away or start to decrease in frequency. The thing about DMER is it is 100% totally, as far as they know, they have not studied it enough, which I'm like, if men breastfed, there would be so much more science and answers on unknown questions that we have in motherhood. Anyway, they don't know exactly what it is, but they think what it is like this huge drop in your hormones, like very sudden drop that happens dysphorically when and where it's kind of not supposed to. It kind of just gets confused with the other hormones when your body is telling yourself to make milk. Totally hormonal. It's not like your fault. It's not related to your mental health, and the fact that like it's not caused by your mental health, but it can affect your mental health. So my first, I pushed through and I noticed that it did start to go away, and eventually I'd say around like 4-ish months it was gone completely. And like every once in a while I'd feel it a little bit, but it went away. Those first 4 months decreased in frequency and intensity over that time. With my second, like I said, it was just so much more intense. And within this first 6 weeks, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know if I can push through it this time, because it's really making me feel really down. But the thing is, there were a lot of other times during the day when I was feeling a lot of those emotions, a lot of just like the negative, sadness, overwhelmed, distraught. And I was diagnosed with postpartum depression at my 6 weeks appointment. So I think what was happening is I already had PPD, and I also was dealing with DMER, and so the DMER kind of like fed the depression, and it kind of like went in this circle. Because of the depression, I was not eating or sleeping the way I should have, or hydrating myself, and that fed the DMER and blah blah blah. So speaking of that, here are the things that I found to help me through it. So number one, this is always the easiest advice to give and the hardest advice to take and actually apply to your life, but making sure, especially when you're a newborn mom, but making sure that you get enough sleep and water and food. My baby is 6 months old now. I still get episodes of DMER, and it's nowhere near as intense as it was in the beginning, but if I have a really bad night of sleep, it's highly, highly likely that the next morning or the next day I'm going to experience it more than I did on the morning after a great night of sleep, or, you know, as great as it's gonna get at 6 months. Same thing for like water and food. If I am nursing on an empty stomach, if I haven't eaten breakfast yet or whatever, like that's another time where I notice it happens. Constantly snacking as a breastfeeding mom, choose, you know, snack wisely, but constantly snacking is like something that I find that I almost have to do, not even just physically, but like for my mental health too. And then there are two like mental tricks that I do to kind of get through it. The first one is one that I find myself doing more often, and it's kind of just like face those emotions head on. So I just listened to somebody else on YouTube. This is not very talked about here, I noticed. Like there are only a couple of videos that mention this at all, but like I said, there are so many moms out there that are talking about how they've experienced it. So it's considered like rare, but I think that's only because not enough moms report it or even know that they're experiencing it because they don't have that knowledge yet. Like I said, I was watching another YouTuber and she said that just knowing what it was helped so much, and just being able to say these feelings are not real, this is just a hormonal reaction, this is not really what I'm thinking, helps so much. And I totally agree with it. If I can take those emotions, if I feel that start to happen and it comes out of nowhere, because it really does, like I will be nursing and I'll be talking with my husband, I'll be on my phone, I'll be playing with my toddler, everything is fine, then all of a sudden, boom, it hits me. And it used to take me by surprise, and I would go down, I would spiral. What's wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? Everything sucks. And I would just like go crazy. Now I know, okay, this is not real, this is just DMER. In a couple of seconds or like a minute, it's gonna be over and I'm gonna be right back to where I was a couple seconds ago. Like, just get through it. So I like face it head on, kind of talk myself through it with those affirmations, like I'm okay, I'm safe, these are not my real emotions, this is just my body behaving in a way that it shouldn't, but it's okay because it's gonna get back to normal. It only lasts a few seconds and I'll be good. I also like tell myself, I'm doing this for my baby, it's worth it, I can get through this couple of minutes, the rest of the breastfeeding session is going to be great, and talk myself through that. The second way that I deal with it is distraction. So either having something good to eat, having TV on, scrolling my phone. I do notice though that I can't like talk to people or conversate while it's happening. I have learned that about myself, that I'm just not my best self while it's happening, obviously. And it also like kind of makes it worse. It just like freaks me out and I kind of like, bleh. So my husband knows now that if he sees me nursing and I suddenly like I'm talking, then I go, he knows, like he stops talking to me, he lets me get through it. I do a lot of deep breaths. A lot of times I close my eyes, like, and then once the feelings go away, I'm right back to talking. So anyway, blah blah blah, and he knows like that's what it is. Same thing with my toddler. If I'm playing with her and then, you know, nursing, like reading her a book, I just have to like stop for a minute, get through it, and then move on. And the third thing, this is not medical advice whatsoever. I am not suggesting any kind of diagnosis at all. Never, ever, ever. Like, of course, talk to your OB or your primary care physician. If you do find yourself experiencing these feelings, if this is maybe your first time hearing about it and you're like, whoa, I identify with that, I didn't know that's what it was, don't jump to the conclusion that you have postpartum depression, but really take an inventory and evaluate how you're doing in the other areas of your life. Is this very isolated and it only happens while you're breastfeeding and it goes away, like you said, then and it goes away and you're back to normal, just like I was talking about, then you probably can take this knowledge that you just learned in this video and you can research it in other places and use that knowledge to your advantage, like I mentioned earlier. However, if you notice that you're kind of experiencing that cycle of like bad feedback cycle, then talk to somebody. You should reach out to somebody. You should talk to your husband, talk to your best friend, talk to your OB, somebody, and say like, hey, I am really struggling mentally. I also noticed this other thing that's like really affecting me. I just need to like get it off my chest. Hopefully they can give you some good advice, help you through that, and most importantly, give you the support that you need and you deserve. Feeding a baby is such hard work. It's so much more than physical. It's a sacrifice in every area of a woman's life, not just physical, but mental, emotional. But like I said, You can get through it if you want to. You can get through it. It is possible to push through and experience it and have a successful, flourishing breastfeeding journey. There is hope for it to completely go away and not happen anymore. I breastfed my first baby for 13 months. Like I said, after 6 months, it pretty much completely went away and didn't experience it again until the second. So I am going to be hopefully making some more long-term videos. I love this style because I like just chatting, and TikTok is a little bit too short for that. I do post like condensed versions on TikTok if that's more your style, so you can go follow me there. And yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day.